and welcome to episode 11 of the SBK Saturday Night Selections, and a welcome back to Saratoga as well. We're finally away from Belmont Park. We've had, I think, 5 straight podcasts or so of Belmont Park racing, but Saratoga has already started at the time of recording. It carries on throughout this weekend and for the next few weeks as well. My name's Luke Elder. One person who is absolutely delighted that Saratoga is back is Tom Collins. It just feels a bit better, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Saratoga is the best of the best in the States. Obviously, you get the Breeders' Cup and the likes, Pegasus World Cup and meetings like that. But Saratoga is the best New York meeting, stretched over a period of weeks. Absolutely love it at the Spa. You've got the best racing, the best horses, and generally the best punting heats as well. Now, maybe this main race that we're about to cover today isn't the best punting heat. We're going to have a short price, only 6 runners, and they're dominated by Chad Brown as per. But there will be lots of good punting heats over the next coming weeks. So make sure you do tune into this podcast on a weekly basis. Hopefully we'll point you in the way of a few winners at Saratoga.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was the heat or sleep deprivation, but when I was looking for the race a few moments ago just to get the race cut up, I was looking, Belmont aren't racing on Saturday. I can't find this. Well. I can't find this race. That's because it's not actually there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're so used to looking at Belmont over the last, I don't know how many weeks. I think it was like 12 or 13 weeks for the spring meet. Prior to that, we had Aqueduct as well. So it's really nice. It feels like this year we've gone from low quality racing at Aqueduct, decent quality at Belmont, although not amazing. Although you do have the occasional grade 1. Now we're into the big stuff, the Royal Ascot of the US. I'm really looking forward to this, Luke.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the one meeting, the one track that if you meet an American racegoer, they say, well, you have to get to Saratoga, or the Spa, as they call it. It's the meeting that almost everybody, I think, wants to attend. If this is your first time watching the SBK Saturday Night Selections or listening to it, welcome. You can catch us on any major podcast provider. You can catch us on YouTube. Just subscribe to the SBK account and you'll be notified whenever our weekly show does go up, so you will not miss a single thing. Last week, if you did miss that, we were talking about the Belmont Derby, and I still don't know how Classic Causeway won.
No, I know. Prior to the race, I didn't think he was a player. We kind of said that in the podcast. Through the first quarter, they went a relatively decent gallop when Royal Patronage tried to push Classic Causeway. And I was thinking, perfect, this is setting up for both of our runners. It just didn't work out, did it? Joel Rosario just leant back on Royal Patronage, gave Classic Causeway the ease of just dictating the pace up front. Good ride by Julian Leparoux, we should say that. After the first quarter, slowed it right down, kicked off the bend, and he just wasn't for catching. I still have a problem with the ride of my selection, Nation's Pride. He finished second. Frankie Dettori's just not been at the game for the last few weeks. It's been all over the news, but US races generally don't meet the criteria for UK press coverage. But I think it was just a woeful ride, really. He was stuck in a terrible position. Somehow he tracked through Stefan Pasquier on Machete, who was the only horse that was actually ridden worse than Nation's Pride in the race. Made a huge move down the back for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Frankie thought, yeah, you know what? I'll track this one. Unfortunately, the Machete horse faded drastically going around the home bend. Nation's Pride caught in a pocket, was halted in the run, lost all momentum, finished fast for second, still not over it.
I would just like to say, last week on the podcast, I did mention reservations about Frankie in America. I don't think he's ridden well in North America for a while now. I would go back to, he rode Queen's Trust, didn't he? When she won the Filly Mares Turf, beating Lady Eli. Around about then, he was awful at Keeneland when they had their Breeders' Cup a few years ago. I don't know if it's been linked to the whole Gosden thing that's been going on at the moment, but I don't know what it is. He used to be absolutely mustard. He used to be the first name you looked for, but now I'd almost try and avoid him.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a sign of the times thing, isn't it? I mean, Frankie was the best rider for a number of years. And some people even said a couple of years ago, maybe even last year, that Frankie was still the best around. Look, we can't get away from the fact he's a very talented jockey. He's going to be a Hall of Famer in UK terms. He's won so many Group 1s, but he's very much a confidence rider, isn't he? And at the moment, with the whole saga about John and Lady Gosden and himself, that relationship, the fact he's going out there and trying to prove himself on a Thursday night on the all-weather tracks, for example, I don't think he has that confidence, and that kind of showed last week in the Belmont Derby.
Yeah, well, I feel like if this was any other sport, you probably would make a bigger thing out of it. If say, Cristiano Ronaldo wanted to join Man United, but was like, right, I'm only going to play 2 games a month or one game a week, you'd be like, well, no, that's what? No. But in racing, he kind of, it's become more accepted. I mean, Mike Smith over in America, he's taking more rides now, but there was a point, I think 1 year he only had, by choice, about 97 rides or something like that, which is mental, but he was allowed to do it because he had earned it.
Yeah, it's a bit crazy. I mean, you can understand it with these older jockeys. Maybe they don't have the fitness or the desire to ride in every race. Like you see, riding in the undercard. Ira Ortiz had 10 rides, I think, at Saratoga from 10 races on Thursday. So you don't tend to see that with the likes of Frankie or Mike Smith, as you say. But at the same time, you need race practice to be at the top level. And if you're not racing all the time or performing all the time, you're not going to be at that elite standard that you require to win these big races. And as I say, that move just to follow Machete last week cost Nation's pride. We should mention a couple of other horses as well in the Belmont Derby. Stone Age ran okay. I mean, I think that's kind of how we anticipated he'd run, right? Finishing third, he ran a nice race. Ryan Moore got some stick on Twitter. I thought he actually gave Stone Age a good ride. Yes, he did get a bump down the back when he was going along the rail route, but he moved out on the bend, kind of pushed Frankie wide, actually, outrode Frankie around the bend. The horse just didn't have enough firepower in the closing stages to win. And let's touch on limited liability. I'll let you go ahead with this, but I just want to say this horse is still in my tracker. He will win a big race.
I'm still waiting for the challenge to be delivered on limited liability. I was just watching out the back. I was like, I was actually out for dinner with my partner Jasmine, and I was like, I just got to watch this one race just quickly. Just like, all right, okay, fine. I was sitting there, and apparently my face was just. But yeah, he'll win one, but it wasn't that one.
No, he just lacks that speed, doesn't he? He's staying on really powerfully in the closing stages. The first 6 were clear. Limited liability was just a few lengths behind in 7th, and then there were miles back to the rest of the field. He was finishing his race off well, but he just really needs them to go electric from the start. I think if Royal Patronage did actually take Classic Causeway on and they went real fast gallop through the half, then maybe he would have featured. The race just wasn't 100% run to suit. It wasn't not run to suit. They did go reasonably hard early and it kind of fell apart, but he's still on my tracker. I don't want to be ditching him yet. He'll go off nice prices as well in the future. And one day we will cash in on limited liability.
Yeah. 3 years down the line, we will be there with limited liability. We have got the Diana Stakes as the race in focus this week. Tom, not at Belmont.
Yeah, the feature of Saratoga, the first Grade 1 on Saturday. It's going to be a great race. It's a great card, actually. There are a number of races we could have taken from the Saratoga card on Saturday to highlight here. But the Diana Stakes not only features 4 Chad Brown runners, but also features a Charlie Appleby runner. So we have to cover this race. Yeah,
there's a number of races we could have taken tonight as well. It's just if Saratoga racing, it's good stuff. It doesn't matter what day it is, but yeah, it is very good Saturday night fare. We'll get straight into to things. I'm taking the odd numbers as per normal. Thankfully, there's an even amount of horses this week, so me and Tom are going to do equal work for once. But we have got technical analysis as the one horse who did manage to win the Gallarette last time around at Pimlico, has generally been running in smaller field races that aren't quite as strong as this. This is a step up for technical analysis, but is one of 4 runners in the race for the Chad Brown team. He's got 4 of the 6 in this field, and you have to think he'll win it with one of them. Whether it be technical analysis, I'm not sure. The head carriage, I must say, is something that I'm not overly in love with the one horse, but I know we'll be hearing a lot more about this horse in a few moments' time.
Definitely. Number 2 is Creative Flair. Charlie Appleby's running this race. She's 8-1 on the morning line, not really considered a major player, and I kind of agree with David Aragona, who's the morning line maker in New York. This Dubai filly's bred to run over 2 miles. I mean, she's been running over a mile or a mile and a furlong. She has the stamina throughout her pedigree, and maybe she'll be seen to better light in future over longer trips. She's generally been campaigned in decent level races. I mean, she ran in the Jockey Club over in the States last year over a mile 3, but only finished 4th that day. Recently, she was seen in the Balanchine at Meydan. She won that race nicely. She was well positioned throughout. It was a weak field. She's going to have to take a big step up, and it's really difficult to imagine where she's going to sit in this race. She has early speed, but not enough to lead. She has a good closing style, but she doesn't have a best turn of foot in the race. So Jamie Spencer, who takes the ride, has his mission cut out here on Creative Flair. But she's a great runner in the race. Nice to have more European challenges in New York.
Yeah, you mentioned there's early speed in the race. There are a couple of pacemakers in there for the 3 horse. That's Bleecker Street, who might well be the next new star for the Chad Brown team. Has just been winning race after race after race. Managed to win at Tampa a couple of times a few starts ago. Then went to Churchill and managed to win the Modesty Stakes. Did that nicely, albeit it was only a fillies grade 3. Stepped up last time around at Belmont. I thought that was a very, very good effort in the New York Stakes. Was taken on horses in the same colours of Peter Brown, of Flighty Lady, Virginia Joy, Rougier, who was race favourite at the time. They're all pretty solid individuals. And it was a race that really didn't suit Bleecker Street. They went fairly slow on the front end. Bleecker Street was right out the back, but managed to get up late on in the day. Didn't actually win by all that far, but it was the manner of the success over anything else that would draw you to Bleecker Street. Also, she's absolutely massive as well. She'll be bigger than anything in this field, and you would have to think that Bleecker Street, Tom, will at least be the one to beat.
Yeah, she's 6-5 on the morning line. I expect her to go off a short price favourite. And you touched on a horse she beat last time, which is number 4, Rougier. Now, Rougier was sent off odds on to beat her in the New York Stakes. I tipped her that day. I thought she was going to be a good thing for Chad Brown, but she just did not fire. She was completely flat. She finished 5th, and there were no excuses as to why she didn't perform up to the standard that most punters thought she would. Prior to moving to the US, she was a really good horse in France. She won the Group 1 Prix de l'Opera before being sent over to the US in the winter last year. She ran at the Breeders' Cup. She kind of disappointed, but she had a tough trip. And then she won a really weak renewal of the Beaugay Stakes at Belmont in May. Look, this filly has lots of talent, but last time out, she was bitterly disappointing. It's really difficult to back her at a reasonably short price to beat Bleecker Street, who clearly had her measure last time.
The one horse that I can confidently put a line through and rule out in this race is the 5 horse. That's Bleecker, who recent form isn't quite there. Ran a decent second last time around at Churchill. That was in the Mint Julep. This is a very, very different ask. This is a tougher race. It's a deeper race as well. That was, yes, a bit of a return to form, but Bleecker's not one that I'm overly wanting to trust. But good luck to Connections for turning up here. But this is a tricky race.
Yeah, brave to take on all Chad Brown's runners and the Charlie Appleby train runner. Maybe Bleecker goes forward along with the number 6 in Italian, who's 6-1 on the morning line. The last of Chad Brown's 4 entries in this race. Another Dubawi filly, also bought from Tattersalls in Newmarket. She's made a good start to her career, not exceptional so far, but she has lots of early speed. I think she's going to be ridden aggressively by Joel Rosario. And maybe she is ridden as the pacemaker to set this up for the likes of Bleecker Street and Rougier, both of whom also race in Peter Brandt's double green silks. She ran okay last time in the Juster game. She was no match for Regal Glory, who just moved away in the closing stages. I feel like it's going to be a bit of a Groundhog Day. She's going to set the pace. Maybe she falters in the closing stages and finishes out the back. But she's an interesting run in this race because we need her in here to set some kind of gallop along with Bleecker.
Yeah, we've quickly gone with, we'll start with in Italian for the actual preview, Tom, because we've quickly gone from in Italian being, she could be all right, to, well, she's the pacemaker now. and that's your job in this sort of organization.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Chad Brown does like to have some sort of speed in these races, especially when he's dominating it with 66% of the runners. Look, Bleecker Street's a horse that comes from off the speed, and he doesn't want them to crawl early. Bleecker doesn't always go forward, although she should. So I think Chad's just ensuring that there will be some sort of speed in here. In Italian, as you say, looks promising. But the fact that Chad is using her as the rabbit rather than the horse that will come from off the gallop kind of suggests that he knows where her limit is, and it's not at grade 1 level. The booking of Joel Rosario is slightly interesting on a front runner, though. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I get it. I wouldn't be reading that much into it. I think it's just a case of Joel Rosario was there rather than anything. Yeah, obviously we know Joel Rosario is very, very good at his best, but I can't even see an Italian fluke in this, I'm going to be honest, because I think that there will be others, the likes of Creative Flair probably being the main one that will take up fairly close attendance, maybe Bleecker as well. So it's not going to be a case of we get a front runner that goes 10 lengths clear and they sort of not have easy fractions, but far from cutthroat sort of times in the early part of the race. So yeah, I'm not sure about an Italian, but as we say, the reason that she might well be the pacemaker in this race is because Bleecker Street is here and they want to find out how good Bleecker Street was, because even last time around when they did go okay up front, things still didn't pan out okay.
No, they didn't go hard at all up front last time, and Bleecker Street was just not suited by the pace. She was sat last. There were question marks about whether she was even a grade 1 horse. Now, yes, she was 6 from 6 going into the race, and she had so much potential. But we didn't just know that she was that grade 1 caliber yet. We knew she was grade 2, grade 3. but she still had to prove herself. And that's why she still went off a decent price, Rougier being the odds-on favourite last time. But as you say, she just seems to be answering every question that Chad Brown is asking her. She quickened up from off the speed, race not run to suit, and she still won. This race should be run more to suit, though I think she'll be probably last or fifth early on. She'll have to come from behind and pass some good horses again. I have to take her on at a short price, though I know you fancy her.
Yeah, it was more a case of I kind of have to, just because I think she's the winner in the race. The thing that I like about Bleecker Street now is that it seems like Bleecker Street's going to be Irad's horse going forward. You go back 2 runs ago for Bleecker Street at Churchill in the Modesty. Flavien Prat was on board and managed to win. But then Flavien Prat rode Rougier last time around, which fair enough, as you say, was a short price favourite, but it seems that Rougier is now Flavien Prat's horse and Irad Ortiz Jr. has Bleecker Street, which I, going forward, very much prefer because you know exactly what you're going to be getting with these two.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's hard to see Rougier actually reversing the form. I think Rougier is a good filly, but she needs given the ground. There was rain at Saratoga actually on Thursday, but the ground's still going to be listed as firm. It's not going to be soft that Rougier needs, or even yielding. I think Bleecker Street will confirm that form. Irad obviously had a great Belmont, was a leading rider. I think he's probably going to be the leading rider at this Saratoga meet as well. Flavien Prat will have a say. But I think Irad has got the strength of the rides, and maybe he chalks up a winner here. I like technical analysis though. I know she's been kind of overlooked in this field. We've been looking at the Peter Brandt runners. Bleecker Street should be favourite, as you've said. The technical analysis has virtually everything. There's so much upside to this filly that I think she's got to be the play at a bigger price than Bleecker Street. She has acceleration from the gate, good gate speed. She's drawn in gate 1, so should be able to skim the rail throughout. Now, I anticipate her being maybe second, third early on. I think Bleecker will make the pace. I think In Italian will be alongside. Maybe technical analysis sits in that pocket back in third. That will give her race advantage over the likes of Bleecker Street and Rougier. She should be a length or two ahead of them turning in. And last time in the Gallarette at Pimlico, we saw her willingness and tenacity to fight when she was put into a battle. Crystal Cliffs, trained by Graham Motion, came alongside as they turned in. And technical analysis just kicked and kicked and kicked. Now, I know that her head carriage is not ideal, and you've touched on that already. She doesn't lack determination. She really just moved clear of Crystal Cliffs. Now, Crystal Cliffs won the Grade 2 Nassau Stakes at Woodbine last month. I mean, that really supplemented the form. I think technical analysis is a good filly. She's 2 from 2 at Saratoga. She won the Lake George and Lake Placid at this meet last year. Jose Ortiz takes the ride. Don't look at jockey bookings for technical analysis. Jose Ortiz has won on her all 5 times that she's won in her career. In fact, the only 2 times he hasn't ridden, she's lost. So I think Jose Ortiz's booking is a big tick. And I really like the step up and trip for technical analysis. I think if she's a length clear of the likes of Bleecker Street, she might be able to hold them off.
I get it. I want to be convinced. I really do. But the head carriage puts me off a little bit. The fact that she was run down 2 outings ago at Plum Ally, Ali. Everyone says that name differently. Ali, everyone says that name differently, and I hate it. Plum Ali. Late on in the day, I can just see that happening here because there will be horses charging late, primarily Bleecker Street. If Jose Ortiz does try and sit a little bit closer to the pace, then that could be the fate, effectively, for technical analysis. But like I say, I'm a little bit less keen on the head carriage than you are. If she was a horse that managed to win time after time after time after time, then fair enough. Then you could give technical analysis a little bit of a pass with that. But she does throw in a few lesser efforts per se, i.e. the Aqueduct run and then at Keeneland as well. So I don't know. At the price, if she's about the sort of 9 to 4 that I'm kind of expecting, I could happily sort of leave that.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if she was 9 to 4, 2 to 1. I think that's probably the price she should be. I think she's going to open about 3s. Well, she's 3s on the morning line anyway, and we know what the traders over here do. They look at the morning line and tend to post their markets based on that. Yeah, exactly. So
not the SBK, not the SBK traders, of course. They're great.
SBK traders know what they're doing. Others do not. They tend to price these US races based on the morning line, and I don't think that's accurate in this race, and that's the sole reason why I'm taking on Bleecker Street and actually siding with technical analysis, mainly for the price, but also she has so much upside. It's not like, In Italian, who has kind of a one chance of winning this, go to the front and hope to hold on, hope there's no pace pressure. Technical analysis can win this multiple different ways. The only thing I'll say is if Bleecker Street is ahead of her, or maybe she doesn't break very well from the inside gate, or there's some trouble in running, then I probably won't fancy her to hold off Bleecker Street. I think plenty has to go right for technical analysis regarding the early portion of the race. But as long as she's ahead of her main market rivals coming for the home bend, I think she's going to have a great shot of actually holding them off and win this for Claridge Stables.
There is a chance as well in this that's against technical analysis that Bleecker Street is just very, very good.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, she's 7 from 7. Maybe I'm overthinking it completely. Maybe this is the new filly on the scene, just going to dominate turf races across the US. Obviously, the East Coast turf horses are much better, especially the fillies, than the West Coast. So we're seeing like the best of the best in this race. Chad Brown's just pitching all of his good fillies, probably just to see how good Bleecker Street is, you know. I don't think she was really considered to be one of the leading lights before she made her debut. I think she made her debut in a $55,000 maiden special weight in Monmouth, which she won easily. Then was sent to Meadowlands. I mean, how many horses did Chad Brown send to Meadowlands?
Well, and then Tampa.
Yeah, exactly.
Twice. Was it
3 allowance optional claimer, then 2 graded races. I mean, I don't think Chad imagined that Bleecker Street would be in the Grade 1 Diana and sent off a really short price favourite later in her career. But who knows? She could just be this type that really just improves on the track and becomes that leading light for the stable. And I really wouldn't be surprised if she does go 8 for 8 here. But I think at short odds, and for the sake of us not agreeing for once on a US race, I have to take her on.
Yes. Yeah, we don't agree this week, thankfully. So we can both be wrong. But I do think there are 2 horses that can win the race. One of them is technical analysis. The other one, the more likely one, is Bleecker Street. But I don't really want to move on to the next part of the podcast because you just make me really, really sad.
Yeah, no, I mean, I did. Everyone at home is probably thinking, what are you talking about? But yeah, there was a conversation on WhatsApp between us yesterday where I basically just decided to diss your number 1 horse in the UK, who is again running.
No, not my number 1 horse in the UK. The podcast's number 1 horse.
He has been a hero. She
put some respect on that name.
Go on, tell us all about her. Go on.
Well, Bookmark has been wonderful for the podcast. I, not you, I sided with 3 outings ago, I should say, and also 2, but not on the podcast. 3 outings ago when the most bizarre drift in the world happened, because she was backed into 5 to 4, and I thought, fair enough, 5 to 4 is about the right price. And she went off 4s. And she was just in free fall in the market. She managed to win. Callum Hutchinson dropped his reins, got into a bit of a mess, still won by a head. Went to Chester, nightmare, fell out the stalls. The race was not run to suit whatsoever, and just put a line through that. You did that. Then last time we sided with her on the podcast again. Big fan of her running on Saturday nights, by the way. It's been great for us. But she does it again here and again at Doncaster. Now, last time around, the race wasn't ideal for her. We said at the time there's no real pace in the race, and there's only the only way that you're going to get Bookmark beaten is if you try and go a crawl. However, Ryan Sexton's a good rider, and he sat Bookmark second, and they changed up how they actually rode her. Yeah, she came under a bit of pressure late on from Oriental Art, who's run all right at Brighton since, but there's more to come from her. Because the race didn't go to plan, she's only gone up £3 in the weight. So she's won those 2 races, one of them off a mark of 70, one off 72, and now she's running off 75. Ryan Sexton's taken the 5 off. I want to say again, but Christian Howarth taking the 5 off this time around. Has been ridden by different claimers each time, so you can't get too into the nitty gritty of that, but this horse is just very well handicapped still. And I know for a fact that no one on this podcast would be stupid enough to pick her on. Isn't that right, Tom?
No. Let's just talk about this race. So it's 8:15 Doncaster. Yes, I do think Bookmark has a great chance of winning, and I appreciate your loyalty. She's done us great wonders on this pod so far. She's won twice for you, and no, I'm not surprised you're going to put her up again. I think she has got a good shot in this race, but it's a good heat. I think this is by far the best race she's tackled so far this year. And yes, she might still be well handicapped, but she's going to have to fend off 2 really decent horses for the level. Now, the first is Atlantis, who's making her first handicap start for John of Thady Gosden. I think she'll go off favourite. She's a 3-year-old against generally 4-year-olds in this race. She's rated 80, but gets the weight allowance. She has cheap pieces first time, which is a little bit of a worry for me. And last time she hung badly left under pressure. So that's the reason I want to take her on, but I really wouldn't be surprised if Atlantis won this. Bookmark, as I say, is a leading player, but I just have to oppose her because I really like Kathy Yensis. She's my UK tip in the 8:15 at Doncaster. Last time out at Doncaster, over 1 mile 2 rather than a mile 4. She was right out the back. The race was run at a crawl. I was in the Sky Sports studio that day, and I was saying, I think it was John Blance who was presenting at the time. And I was saying, well, the leaders are going to dominate. We saw the pace dominate all evening at Doncaster that night. Cathiensis right out the back. They quickened up. Cathiensis just scooted right on by them. Really good acceleration for a horse at this level. Small field again. I think it might be a similar scenario. They might go a crawl early. If she's out the back, I won't be wondering, well, this horse can't pick up past these horses. She has excellent acceleration. Now, the step up and trip is a slight worry. She's 0 for 1 over a mile 4. But she was slowly away that day. I think she had to use plenty of energy to rush up into contention. I'm willing to take another chance on Cathiensis, and hopefully, not for your sake, but hopefully she beats Bookmark.
You are right, by the way. It was the night you were on with John Blance in the Sky Studios. Do you know how I know that?
How do I know that?
Because I also worked that night and took over from John Blance, but it was also the night that your soul selection that you put up on the podcast at Doncaster got stuffed. And it was also the night that Bookmark won at Doncaster as well.
Hey, this is the time that I get my my compensation for that night. I do really fancy Cathiensis, and everyone was thinking, oh, Ollie Stammer's £3 claimer, who actually rides the Grand Tour runner. Ollie's got a great relationship with this filly. He's a good rider in his own right. Ridden plenty of horses for Mark Johnson, who wouldn't use an amateur that's not good. So don't use that as a negative. Ollie Stammer's a good pilot, especially on Cathiensis. Have I convinced you yet?
No. No, you have not.
Hopefully one of us has the winner anyway.
Yeah, one of us. Cathiensis for Tom. Bookmark for myself. There's got to be loyal fans out there to Bookmark. You're not winning this one. And then in the Diana, Tom, you're siding with technical analysis?
Yeah, I like technical analysis in Diana. I think it's the 10:03 at Saratoga for people who are looking for the race time rather than just the name. It should be a 2-horse race between her and Bleecker Street, depending on who has that track advantage turning for home. Yeah, technical analysis for me. Look, I'd be very disappointed if we didn't post 2 winners between us over the 2 races that we've covered, the 8:15 at Donny and the 10:03 at Saratoga. Who's going to have the winners? Who knows? But as long as we're posting the winners, that's all that matters, right?
Yeah, if Bleecker Street and Bookmark both win, then Tom might not be here next week, and there's no other reason behind that either.
Yeah, I'll just blame it on paternity, but it will actually be the reason I'll be sulking that I went 0 for 2 and you went for 2 for 2.
It will actually be crying. Yes.
Yeah.
Don't forget, every week, this is around thus far. If you deposit £10 into your new SBK account, you'll get £30 in free bets. So new SBK customers, put £10 in and deposit that, you'll get £30 in free bets. That's us done for the day. You might be back next week, but we don't know.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Who knows what happens, but this podcast will go ahead no matter what. I mean, you'll be presenting and do a great job, I'm sure. It's Saratoga again next week, so you know, you've got fantastic stuff to cover if I'm not here. And if I am here, then phenomenal stuff. I can't wait. I love Saratoga. Make sure you check out the cards on Friday if you're watching this on Friday afternoon, just as it goes live, or if you're watching this on Saturday morning. Make sure you look at the undercard as well, because there are going to be plenty of good bets. Maybe I'll post a couple on my Twitter as well. Good time for a plug, isn't it? At Tompton, TOMPTIN. I see you shake your head, but you've got to do it in this game.
Why Tompton, by the way?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I generally don't actually know. Obviously, my name's Tom. My middle name begins with a P, so that's the Tomp part. Don't know where tin came from. Maybe it's my favourite metal. But that's
I always thought that's because you were told when you were younger that you look like Tintin.
Never happened, but I can see the resemblance.
Fair enough.
Especially when I used to have some sort of decent volume in the old hair, so you know.
Well, it's all hacked off now. It's gone.
I know, it looks lovely, doesn't it?
Tom, thank you. Thank you very much. I hope you're by my side next week. If not, enjoy those first 2 weeks. They're going to be fun for you. But thank you everyone for listening to the SBK Saturday Night Selections. As I mentioned, you can catch this on all major podcast providers, on YouTube. If you subscribe to the SBK account, you will be informed of everything that they put out on their YouTube channel, including this podcast each and every week. But for this week, thank you very much for listening. I will see you next week. Until then, have a very good week. Stay safe. Enjoy the heat. Look after one another. Goodbye.